The lecture hall of the Galactic Maritime Academy fell into dead silence as Captain Thexkar stepped through the entrance. His massive form towered over the assembled cadets, scales rippling with each deliberate movement. The Vorthak Predator's reputation preceded him wherever he went. A veteran of 3 sector wars, commander of the deadliest dreadnought in the Galactic Fleet, and holder of more combat decorations than any being in recorded history. Pathetic, Captain Thexkar hissed, his reptilian eyes scanning the diverse collection of species seated before him. Look at this collection of soft flesh weaklings they expect me to teach naval warfare to. The cadets, a mixture of Zalarians, Court, Benexi, and others, shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Some of the smaller species actually trembled under his predatory gaze. Captain Thexkar's forked tongue flicked out, tasting the fear in the air. I have commanded fleets that have reduced entire solar systems to cosmic dust, he continued, pacing before the front row like a hunter stalking prey. I have personally executed 17 enemy admirals in single combat. My ship's hull is decorated with the bones of those foolish enough to challenge me. A Zalarian cadet whimpered softly. A Court buried his face in his hands. And they expect me to waste my time teaching navigation and fleet tactics to this? The captain's massive claws scraped against the podium as he leaned forward. Half of you would soil yourselves at the first sight of plasma fire. The other half would surrender before the battle even began. In the back corner of the lecture hall, a figure sat motionless. Sarah Chen, the lone human representative in the Advanced Tactical Warfare program, remained perfectly still. Her dark eyes never left the Vorthak captain's face, but she showed no signs of fear or intimidation. You, fleshbag, Captain Thexkar's attention suddenly fixed on her. Yes, you in the back. The mammalian creature with the inadequate hide and pitiful claws. What makes you think you belong in this class? Sarah stood slowly, her movements fluid and controlled. The other cadets turned to watch, some with pity in their eyes. Everyone knew what happened when Captain Thexkar singled out a student. I'm here to learn, sir, Sarah replied calmly. Captain Thexkar's laugh was a sound like grinding metal. Learn? Your species has barely mastered interplanetary travel. You fought in what, 2, maybe 3 minor conflicts? I was conquering star systems before your pathetic civilization even discovered fire. He began walking toward her, each step deliberate and menacing. Tell me, little mammal, what exactly can your kind teach me about warfare? Your people are soft, weak, and lack any natural weapons. You have no scales, no claws, no venom. You're prey animals pretending to be predators. The other cadets watched in horrified fascination as the 7-foot reptilian warrior approached the small human. Sarah remained motionless, her expression unchanged. I've heard rumors about humans, Captain Thexkar continued, now standing directly in front of her desk. They say your species has some kind of reputation, that other civilizations speak your name with unease. But looking at you, I see nothing but a fragile creature that evolution forgot to equip for survival. He leaned down, bringing his massive head within inches of Sarah's face. His breath was hot and reeked of the carnivorous meal he'd consumed earlier. Rows of razor-sharp teeth gleamed in the lecture hall's lighting. So tell me, human, he whispered, his voice dripping with menace. What makes your kind think they can stand among true predators? The lecture hall was silent except for the nervous breathing of the other cadets. Every eye was focused on the confrontation. Several species had their recording devices ready, expecting to witness another of Captain Thexkar's legendary intimidation displays. Sarah looked up at the towering predator, her gaze steady and unflinching. For a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity. Neither moved. Then, in a voice so quiet it was barely audible, she spoke a single word: Hiroshima. The effect was immediate and profound. Captain Thexkar's intimidating posture faltered. His eyes widened, and for the first time in anyone's memory, the legendary warrior took a step backward. The word hung in the air like a ghost. Several alien cadets looked confused. The term meant nothing to them. but Captain Thexkar's reaction told them everything they needed to know. You. His voice was no longer a confident predator's growl, but something closer to uncertainty. Sarah stood up, her movement still controlled, still calm. Nagasaki, she added just as quietly. Another step backward from the Vorthak captain, his scales, which had been a confident deep green, began shifting to the paler hues that indicated stress in his species. You know those words, don't you, Captain? Sarah asked, her voice never rising above conversational level. You've studied human military history. You've read the reports. Captain Thexkar's forked tongue flicked out nervously. Your species, he began, then stopped. What about us, Captain? Sarah took a single step forward. What exactly did you discover when you researched human warfare? The mighty predator who had terrorized cadets for years remained silent. Dresden, Sarah continued, her dark eyes never leaving his face. Stalingrad, the Somme. My species doesn't need scales or claws, Captain. We have something far more dangerous. What? The word came out as barely a whisper. Sarah smiled, not the warm smile humans gave their friends, but the cold expression that had made entire civilizations reconsider their expansion plans. Imagination. The silence that followed was deafening. Captain Thexkar, the veteran of countless battles, the being who had single-handedly destroyed enemy fleets, stood frozen before a creature half his size who possessed no natural weapons, no armor, no venom. Finally, Sarah sat back down, her movement casual and relaxed. Now, Captain, weren't you going to teach us about naval warfare? I'm particularly interested in hearing about psychological tactics. For the first time in his teaching career, Captain Thexkar found himself returning to the podium not as a predator addressing prey, but as a professional addressing a peer. As he began the lesson, his voice had lost its earlier menacing tone. The other cadets noticed the change immediately. Several took notes, not just about fleet formations and weapon systems, but about the subtle shift in power dynamics they had just witnessed. Later, as the class filed out, a Zalarian cadet approached Sarah. How did you know those words would affect him? Sarah gathered her materials, her expression thoughtful. Predators understand strength, but the truly dangerous ones understand that the most terrifying predator isn't the one with the biggest claws, it's the one that doesn't need them. As she walked toward the exit, she added quietly, sometimes the most powerful weapon is making someone realize exactly what they're dealing with. Behind them, Captain Thexkar remained at his podium, staring at the door through which the human had departed, finally understanding why his own military advisors had recommended against any aggressive action toward the small blue planet on the galactic rim. Some predators, he realized, were not defined by their fangs.